I'm Morgan Kyauk. I'm a managing director at NightDragon, also a very, very proud Wharton alum. And I'm here today to talk about combating today's cyber threats with investment and new innovation. So I'll take the next 15 minutes to walk through a few slides that give you a perspective on what we're seeing out in the market. To give you a brief overview on NightDragon, NightDragon is a late stage and growth stage focused venture fund that's also focused in and around the cybersecurity, safety, physical and national security, and privacy industry. A little bit of a mouthful, but at a high level, we are investing in areas where we see the biggest threats between offense and defense. A little bit of background on me. I've been investing with NightDragon for the past 3 years. Prior to that, I was leading corporate development actually at a cybersecurity company called FireEye. I've also spent time in corporate dev leadership roles at companies like Dropbox, Juniper Networks and HP, all focused on cybersecurity, M&A, and investments. I've been in this field for about 15 years, and I'm glad to say, and also a little worried about saying, the fact that this threat environment is the greatest we've ever seen, and it's also one that we see a massive market opportunity. So flipping over to the first slide here, this is something that we commonly see on a weekly and even daily basis. You read the Wall Street Journal, you read the New York Times. From a headline perspective, we're constantly reading about new breaches that have occurred that have either compromised information, that have either resulted in stolen IP, and also more recently have resulted in business disruption and disruption of our daily lives. I think one of the things that we've seen here at NightDragon, especially over the past decade, is that the number of attacks have increased, but also the severity of those attacks have increased. More recently, we've seen attacks like the Colonial Pipeline hack, a ransomware attack that shut down the Colonial Pipeline, leading to higher gas prices on the East Coast. We've also seen the hack of the JBS Corporation, which is a meat packing plant, that shut down business operations that led to higher meat prices. And then even more recently, we've seen hacks of hospitals, cities, and schools, which have shut down operations due to the business disruption and the ransomware capability of these attackers. One of the questions I wanted to answer is, why are we seeing this? Why are we seeing this now? And that leads me to the next slide that we have here, is that at NightDragon, we believe we are in a perfect cyber storm that's largely driven by two factors. The first factor is massive technology innovation. Over the past decade, we have seen the shift from on-prem compute to public cloud. We've seen the shift from desktops and laptops to mobile devices and now internet-connected devices. We've also seen the rapid digitization of our own lives through the use of social media, the leveraging of social media as our primary communication channel. And so this accelerating technology innovation with even more technology paradigm shifts on the horizon, such as satellite, Web3, metaverse, and quantum, what occurs whenever you have these shifts is an opening up of attack surface. So the existing techniques and tools that we use to secure our infrastructure fails to keep up, and attackers are able to capitalize on this attack surface. But one of the other things that you see in this category is also massive innovation in the attacker ecosystem itself. Over the past 10 years, we've seen the rise of the dark web, which is the area of the internet we've only accessed using an anonymous browser. Within the dark web, it's become much easier to rent and launch your own attacks. We've also seen the rise of cryptocurrency, which has driven which has provided fuel to these types of attacks due to the anonymous nature of cryptocurrency and the ease of which the attackers can get away with these attacks. And then we've also seen a rising sophistication of the attacker, a rising motivation of the attacker itself as well. 10 years ago, we probably had maybe 5 countries out there with offensive cyber capabilities. Now that number's in the hundreds. And so it's guaranteed whenever there's geopolitical tension, there's going to be a cybersecurity component to it. And not only will they be targeting public and government organizations, they'll also be targeting private and commercial organizations. And so it's these two dynamics, the massively changing technology landscape, opening up attack surface, the rising sophistication of the attacker, that's creating this perfect cyber storm that we like to describe here at NightDragon. This storm is what led to the headlines that I walked through. This storm is what's leading to $6 trillion in cost of cybercrime on the global economy. and that number continues to grow. It's anticipated to be 11 trillion by 2025, and it's also led to a massive market opportunity, $300 billion market opportunity, growing at 14% year over year, 4 times faster than general IT spend. This market, because of these dynamics, has been very attractive for acquirers, investors, and financial sponsors alike. And so one of the things we've also seen this year, and these stats that you see on the page here largely focus on 2022, is a very robust and a resilient market in and around cybersecurity. M&A activity has increased, 102 billion in M&A volume. Financing activity has also grown exponentially, 12.5 billion spent so far, looking to far eclipse the numbers that we've seen in more recent years. And within this category itself, we've also seen a growing number of financial and strategic buyers that are interested in the category. Financial sponsor activity has greatly accelerated, with companies like Thoma Bravo and KKR and Advent International all acquiring cybersecurity companies. But we've also seen companies like Google and Microsoft and Amazon and the larger technology conglomerates acquiring cybersecurity companies as well. The reason why is because of this perfect storm that we're seeing, and the fact that cybersecurity itself is a highly resilient market. When you think about cybersecurity, it is a top spend priority for any large company out there, their CISO or their CIO. Cybersecurity as a budget line item continues to be a focus area and continues to grow, not only because of the economic damage that any cybersecurity breach could occur and cause, but also the impact of reputation, the impact of brand, all things that Fortune 500 CEOs, their boards are very worried about. So when we think about the opportunity, we think about these 5 areas of innovation in and around this category. So I talked a little bit about the technology paradigm shifts that we're seeing opening up attack surface, but it's also leading to massive multi-billion-dollar markets that are created as we speak. The fact that COVID has led to a remote and hybrid workforce has completely changed the security model in which we used to operate on. Before, you typically had all your employees in a physical office somewhere, guarded by network security devices and endpoint security devices. Now those employees are working remotely, working from home, working in a hybrid environment, and that's completely changing the way we think about security. And there's some amazing companies that are solving this specific problem. Supply chain is probably the most topical issue that we see in business today. I mean, even before COVID, the fact that supply chain was so brittle and so fragile was something that was top of mind for many large Fortune 500 CIOs and CEOs. But one of the things we've seen with COVID, with the shortages that COVID shutdowns have caused, is how intertwined we are as an organization, as organizations with the entities that we do business with, as well as the entities they do business with. So this idea of viewing your software supply chain, your security supply chain more holistically, more strategically, and really understanding where your supply chain is coming from is something that we're investing towards and we see a big opportunity around. The third point that I'd like to make here, data. The amount of data that we're dealing with has grown exponentially. The fact that our infrastructure that we manage has shifted from on-prem to public cloud has also transformed from virtual machine-based to serverless to container-based. All these massive shifts in infrastructure creates more data. More data means more security, potential security problems. And we're focused on companies that are helping organizations make sense of this data, really understanding how to leverage this data to be more secure, but also be more resilient from a business process perspective. The fourth point I'd like to make where we see opportunity is that the software stack within larger enterprises and the security stack within larger enterprises have become immensely fragmented. You think 10 years ago, pre-cloud, pre-SaaS, you often had Microsoft, Oracle, and a few other vendors that would typically provide your software and your technology stack. Now that number is in the hundreds. Many large enterprises need to deal with hundreds of different software vendors. The ability to automate and orchestrate across these platforms becomes very critical. And it's also leading to opportunities with applications created by machine learning and artificial intelligence that could help solve cybersecurity problems. And then the final point that we see, the final opportunity that we see out there is that within cybersecurity itself, there's a massive shortage of cybersecurity talent. Around the world, there's more than 3 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs. It's largely due to the fact that cybersecurity up until recently was an afterthought. You had the brightest engineers going and working at large technology companies, large advertising technology companies, large companies like Facebook and Google and Microsoft, but you did not have many students coming into the workforce focused on cyber education, and that's for that reason we are facing a gap around cyber talent today. And so for us here at NightDragon, a big initiative is to ensure that we are filling these cybersecurity roles. We have the ability to get entry-level talent into the cybersecurity workforce. It's not only important for us to address cybersecurity problems itself, but from our perspective, we also view it as a national security issue. So cybersecurity, in summary, it continues to be a big problem for us. We feel like we're in a perfect storm of cybersecurity issues, but here at NightDragon, we're investing in innovative companies, the next generation of market leaders in this category to help solve this perfect cyberstorm, and we're very excited about it. So with that, thank you to the Wharton community. Thank you to everyone for listening. I'm Morgan Kyauk and really appreciate the time. Thank you.